Where did evil come from, or why is there evil, suffering and death, is a question which humans have been trying to answer since the beginning of civilization. Nobody has a definitive answer. Also, I don't think there's much point looking at the Bible and hoping it will give us a solution, because it doesn't. All the Bible writers were just as unsure. If you read the first 2 chapters of Job, you'll find the writer jumping from one side to the other by blaming a supposed God and then a supposed Satan for the same thing. But the one thing which the Bible seems to get right is the problem of human sin and human evil, as it gives a positive and unambiguous solution in Jesus. But this doesn't answer the question, where did evil come from in the first place? My own opinion is that for as long as good has existed, evil has always existed as well, as you cannot have one without the other. This follows the pattern of opposites which are universal. Day and night, north and south, life and death, love and hate, hot and cold, stars and black holes. Opposites are universal and a fact of life. They exist in all dimensions, so I don't think the moral dimension is any different. From the human point of view, this makes the earth a battleground between the two forces, and humans are the pawns in the universal game. Whether this game exists with or without a game maker is of course the eternal question. Both arguments stand equally on the scales. But the scales do tip slightly in one direction if you take the view that God might actually be taking part in the game, as opposed to creating the game or acting as some sort of distant referee. This is what makes Jesus' life and death so important, as it demonstrated that God is involved in the game and is willing to take a fair bit of punishment as a result. This is what makes Christianity unique in all the world's religions. From this point of view, you don't even have to believe that Jesus rose from the dead if you don't want to. The job has been done, so to speak. Evil and human sin have both been dealt with. So for me, the existence of evil convinces me that God is absolutely obliged to exist in order to do something about it, rather than the other way round. This is known as ultimate justice, where humans are unable to provide justice. For example, millions of children die every year because of war, malnutrition or disease. Who can provide justice for all those lost lives? And who decides? If these millions of innocent lives are lost forever, billions if you go back to the beginning of human evolution, then I'm prepared to believe that there is no God, and we just happen to have the bad luck of living in a cruel, hopeless and meaningless world. These verses in Matthew, however, convince me that we don't, and they tip the scales again towards God's existence. As I read them, ask yourself, why did Jesus say this, or was supposed to have said this? And why did he talk specifically about children? See that you do not look down on one of these little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go to look for the one that wandered off? And if he finds it, I tell you the truth, he is happier about that one sheep than about the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should be lost. If you say that God cannot exist because of evil, then you are in a no-win situation, where the world has suddenly become the cruelest possible place ever. And if you say that God cannot exist because he's supposed to be good, so he cannot be responsible for evil, I think your idea of automatically relating goodness with God is outdated and probably even wrong. If you read the last book in the Bible called Revelation, you will discover that God is going to exterminate billions of humans with floods, disease, famine and lakes of fire, just as he was supposed to have done in the first book of the Bible, Genesis. And if you know anything about archaeology, paleontology, or any of the sciences which relate to the history of the earth, you will know that there has been at least 5 mass extinctions in that history. This may be good, in inverted commas, according to God's point of view, but isn't exactly good from the human point of view.